You're looking to get pigs, or maybe you just brought home some pigs and you want to make sure you have everything that you need for them? Well, let me talk to you guys about the things that I've realized that you should have before you take home your pigs. So maybe you're just like us, you just got some pigs, or you're looking to get pigs. We've had these guys for about a month now, and there's a lot that we've already learned about them, and I'd love to be able to pass that message on to you guys so you don't have to make some of the same mistakes that we did here in the first month. Hi, piggies. By the way, we finally got our first personalized set of merchandise for us, so here we go, rocking it. Acres of Adventure. If you guys aren't already, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. All right, now let's get into this. Let's talk about these guys and what you're gonna want before you bring them home. The very first thing you're probably gonna wanna have is a way to transport these pigs. How are you gonna go pick them up, and how are you going to bring them to your property? With only getting 2 pigs for us, it wasn't too bad. We were able to use a large dog cage. They were able to fit into it. We just barely fit that into our traverse that we had. So we were able to take home the pigs like that, and it worked out nice. But it is something I felt like you have to mention, because you gotta be able to transport these guys. The next thing, and I think this is the #1 important thing, so I wanna make sure I tell it to you guys right now, because I think this is something that if you haven't looked into or you don't invest in well, this is the one that's gonna hurt you. You need to get a reliable fence for them that's gonna keep these pigs in, because pigs, even at a young age as piglets, are very strong. Yeah, you guys are strong. What you got, huh? Okay. And not only are they strong, pigs are fast. So there's different kind of fencing options you can have, but don't do what we did. So the very first thing we did was get hog panel fencing. These are pigs, hogs, so we thought hog panel fencing would be good enough. The problem is, when you bring home 7-week-old piglets, they're still small, and the holes on that fencing were not small enough because our pigs were escaping through that fence on the very first night that we got them. So on the very first night that we had them, we had to chase our pigs down and get them locked into an area. Didn't have any other fencing other than that fence, so we couldn't let them sleep like that overnight. So we had to get that dog crate that we put them in, and they had to sleep in that for their very first night. The second day we had them, we made sure to change that right away. We invest in an electrical fence. Electrical fences are perfect to keep pigs in and any kind of livestock you guys may get for your homesteader farm. So look into them. The one that we use here is the Premier 1 fencing. And the Premier 1 fencing has worked out great for us. The reason that we liked it is it's very light, easy to move, and they're just all individually on stakes. So we can end up moving them about every month onto a new piece of our land here in the woods. And that was our main thing we wanted. We didn't want them just stuck in one area. We wanted to be able to have this fencing for movability. If you don't plan on moving your pigs around too much, I don't think that the Premier 1 fencing is a necessity for you guys. So then look into a different electrical fencing, or just make sure you have a nice sturdy fence with a lot of T-posts and stripped down, because these guys, like I said, they are strong. If the Premier 1 fencing is something that you're going to look into, I would say that it's worked out really well. Like the movability of it and being able to move it to new areas is nice and easy. It's very lightweight. The only problem we've really had is that because it is so lightweight and it's a little bit closer to the ground than I'd like, that sometimes it gets rooted up. So then you just have to come over here and kind of kick any of the stuff away from the fence, because pigs like to root up, and that'll ground out this fence. But other than that, this fence has worked out perfect. That's really the only problem that we've had with it. I'll link anything that we use for these pigs in the description below. And if this is something that you want to purchase, you can go ahead and go do that. And don't worry, it's not making us any money. None of these companies are making us money for me saying this. So this is just what we use here. I'm not done talking about you guys yet, okay? Don't eat that tripod. All right, we gotta talk a little longer. I guess I should mention this. This is one of those kind of first things you gotta make sure that you have, is make sure you have an area that you're gonna want to put your pigs. Because when you bring them home, you're gonna have to put them there. So make sure you have everything plotted out early. Make sure that if you have any fencing that you need to put in, put it down right away. So we've had to move them a few times. I wish we would have just had the woods ready to go for them. We were forced to move them one too many times than we liked. So we had them in a starter spot. We didn't really ever want them there, but that was just the spot we thought would work for a little bit. Then we moved them to an area where we want to garden next year so they could till that ground up. And then we finally moved them back here. And the reason I tell you to make sure you have a spot ready to go is because when we moved them back here in the woods, we had to move them all the way from the one part of our property all the way to the back here. And of course, we had to play roundup with our pig. Our black pig didn't move back here as easy as the other one. So we were chasing this pig around our whole backyard, trying to finally get him back. And the only way we were able to get him is I had to carry him by his back legs, which is one of the easiest things to do because pigs don't like being picked up, and he didn't like being picked up this way either. Remember, If you have a spot that you're gonna wanna put them right away, just have it ready to go so you don't have to move them as much, and especially don't have to move them across the whole side of your property. The next thing that you're gonna wanna look into for them is having some kind of shelter, some kind of hut made for them. Whether you make it or buy one that'll just work for the amount of pigs that you got. This was another thing that I wanted done before the pigs got here. And unfortunately, I did not have this made for them right when we first got them. So the first thing that we used was this galvanized tub, and we just tilted it down on its side, threw some straw in there, and that was kind of their shelter to have for nighttime. And it's not the same as like having like chickens where they gotta get locked up in a chicken coop. This isn't something that has to be locked up every single night. But the main reason that you want this is they like the shelter to keep them secure at nighttime. But really the reason you're gonna want it is that when it's raining, or here in Michigan, snow, or if it's way too hot and they need to get out of the sun, it gives them a place to just get away from that for a little bit. Because when your animals are more stressed, or if they're cold, they're gonna eat more. And the more they eat, the more that's gonna cost you. So you don't want that to happen. You can see here, I just made this hut for them not too long ago. It's just metal sidings, a corner part to go on the top, and just some pieces of wood made in like an A-frame. It's 8 foot long. There's only the 2 pigs, so that should fit them. They're slower growing pigs. I'm not worried about this not fitting them eventually here in the future. I think that gives them enough space to go in there, still turn around. And if it doesn't, we repurpose this for something else and make something new, or just buy something to cover them up for the time. You just need that place for them to get away from any kind of the weather. And the last 2 things that you're gonna need for your pigs, food and water. You're gonna need some kind of container to put their water in. All we use is one of the big rubber bowls, and that's worked out perfect for them. We'll fill that up so they have the option to either drink from it, and it's big enough for them at the moment that when it got hot, they like to roll around in it a lot. So we were out here a lot having to fill it back up for them. But we've noticed with our pigs, they don't really drink too much water throughout the day. So we've been trying to add water in with their feed every time we feed them, so that they're still getting hydrated from the water that way. They're just always doing this, looking around for food, and just ignoring that water bowl right there. But just that big rubber bowl has worked out perfect for us for the water. I will look into possibly building one of those like big buckets with the nipples for them to drink out of instead here in the future. But for now, this has worked out good. And during the winter time, I'm thinking that big bucket's gonna freeze. We don't have any electricity outsourced here, so I can't get a heater to keep that water from freezing. Fortunately, that's just how this might roll here for us this winter time. I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun coming out here and breaking the ice and getting new water for them. And the last thing, feed. And this can be anything that you think you're gonna end up feeding them. With only having 2 pigs on our property, our big goal was to be able to give them tons of our food scraps, and then them scavenging the rest of the woods for any of the other feed that they're gonna find. We did buy just a generic bag of feed for them when we first got them. Since it was our first time with pigs, we just wanted to make sure that they had food and that they were eating some kind of diet that was filling them up correctly for the time being while we learned ourselves. So just make sure that however you want to feed your pigs and for the amount that you have food ready for them when they first get here. We are going to try to look into not buying any more feed from the store for them. We want to get away from feeding corn to the pigs. Corn is a big food diet for pigs, and right now we are doing as much research as we can to figure out how we want to substitute out corn from their diet. But we've heard some mixed things about how that's going to ruin the quality of the meat, and we want to make sure that this is the highest quality meat we can get out of these guys. And at the same time, making sure they have a great quality of life and that they're not feeling starving at all times. So we're looking into it right now, and as soon as we figure that out, of course, we would tell you guys. But at the moment, we're still looking. And that's about all I can think of. The last thing that you're really gonna need for these guys is your mindset. Just to make sure that if you've never had pigs before, that this is something that you're prepared for. It's not like other animals, obviously. Every animal has its own things that you're gonna have to bounce off of and figure it out. Like I said, there's mistakes that we have already made, and that's why I wanted to get this video out here to you guys listening, so that if there's anything that we did wrong, that you guys don't have to do those same things. I've enjoyed having them here. They are more like dogs than we thought. They love us petting them. The one really likes when we pet behind their ears. Try not to get too emotionally attached to them, but we have enjoyed being them here. Our pigs, by the way, are Mangalistas, so they're a little different than like your average feeder pig that a lot of people like raising for meat. The meat's supposed to be a pretty good quality, but they are more of a lard pig, so they have a lot more fat than your typical pig. It has went really well, and I don't have many complaints. We kind of got all the tweaks out of here now, so I think that we're getting more confident, and it's been going great. Now we'll have to see if we can get past the winter time with them, and we'll definitely be filming that and teaching you guys about winter time with the pigs. Thank you guys again always for watching. Have a great day and a better tomorrow, and we'll see you in the next one.